The Russian threat against the UK is real and it is rising. And it's important for the public and it's important for Parliament to understand that. That's why I revealed last year the Russian spy ship Yantar as it monitored our critical national infrastructure under seas. And that's why I exposed the month-long Russian submarine covert programme in and near UK waters. And I say to Putin, we see you, we'll expose you, and we will not stand for you targeting the UK.
Sir David Reid.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This morning, France once again demonstrated that seizing sanctioned Russian shadow fleet vessels in international waters is both legal and achievable. Now, in contrast, the Prime Minister confirmed on the 25th of March that we have the legal basis to act in our own territorial waters. Yet since that pledge, hundreds of vessels have passed through unchallenged. So does the Secretary of State agree that this is deterrence in reverse? Tough rhetoric, no action. And in Moscow, that gap between what Britain says and what Britain does will be read as exactly one thing: weakness.
This is deterrence in action. I'm surprised the honourable gentleman doesn't recognise the fact that we supported the French operation and were proud to do so. Defence stands ready to lead our own interdiction, but the impact of what we are ready to do and what we have signalled to Putin is that he's having to escort shadow shipping through the English Channel with Russian warships, and the rest of his shadow fleet are often detouring right round the UK. We're disrupting his shadow fleet shipping, and we're contributing to the fact that Russian oil revenues have fallen by a quarter in the last year.
Mr. Speaker, there is a chasm between supporting and between leading. Is it not the case that the Attorney General, the same Attorney General who has no hesitation in hounding British veterans through the courts, has now decided that intercepting Russian shadow fleet tankers would breach maritime law? Our allies in Finland, in Sweden and Estonia have no such hesitation. France and the United States have no such hesitation. So can the Secretary of State explain why the only person who seems determined to tie Britain's hands is his own government's chief legal officer?
Well, the honourable gentleman is entirely wrong with his assertion and his facts. I led, with the Attorney General, a meeting of the 10 Jeff nations, the legal military experts, in which we set out and discussed and shared the legal basis on which individually and together we can interdict and seize Russian shadow ships. We're ready to do so as the UK. We're ready to do so in support of allies, as we have just done with France. And together, we're deterring Putin and we're disrupting his shadow fleet operations.
James Cartlidge, Shadow Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I echo the Secretary of State in respect to the sad news from Iraq, and on behalf of the opposition, send our condolences to the family concerned. Very sad news indeed. Simple question for the Secretary of State: has the Treasury signed off the Defence Investment Plan?
The honourable gentleman may not have heard me when I answered before, and I can say to him very clearly, the Prime Minister is determined that we publish the Defence Investment Plan before the NATO summit.
James Cartlidge. well, Mr. Speaker, no wonder the Defence Investment Plan is so late. Labour still haven't worked out how to pay for it, Mr. Speaker. But the good news is others have. Lord Robertson, former Labour Defence Secretary, said, "We cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget." And Tony Blair himself warned last week that by the end of this decade we could be spending more on incapacity and disability benefits than on defence. No serious country can do that. Isn't the truth that whoever becomes the next Labour Prime Minister must do one thing above all else to boost defence: cut welfare and spend the savings on the British Armed Forces?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable gentleman has brass neck. I have to say, there is no recognition of the fact that we are increasing defence spending by a record amount since the end of the Cold War. No recognition that this year the defence budget will be £11 billion greater than in his last year in government. No recognition that there are contracts in place, including the AUKUS Pillar 2 contract, which we've signed and he didn't when he was the minister responsible.
Spokesperson James Whitley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last night I returned from a week in Ukraine. I visited villages in Kherson, just tens of kilometres from the front line, where I saw the total devastation wrought by Russian forces. Every morning we woke up to reports of hundreds of drones that have been destroyed overnight by the Ukrainian military. Ukraine is innovating under Russian fire. So my question is, what steps is the government taking to accelerate defence cooperation with Ukraine to ensure that our armed forces can rapidly learn from, develop and deploy the counter-drone capabilities needed for the wars of today and tomorrow, not yesterday?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable gentleman makes a really important argument. It was captured in the Strategic Defence Review. It's been put into practice since, and I saw within the last 2 weeks when I was with our troops close to the Russian front line in Estonia, exactly how our own UK forces, alongside the Estonians, are learning the lessons and implementing some of the same tactics and technologies that we have been involved in supplying to Ukraine, and the Ukrainians have demonstrated a combat fit.
Dr. Neil Shastri-Hurst.
Question number 6, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, we have accepted the Strategic Defence Review recommendation to introduce a defence readiness bill. As he will know, readiness measures are already included in the Armed Forces Bill that is before the House again tomorrow. Engagement across government and with industry is underway on the Defence Readiness Bill, and I'm proud that it is a Labour government that is planning to introduce a Defence Readiness Bill, a bill that when his party was in power they neither thought of nor did themselves. It's something that shows that in these changing times that Labour is on the side of our armed forces and the side of a stronger Britain.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The government's constant refrain is that they're working at pace. The reality is that our adversaries are doing exactly that. And in an increasingly unstable world, the lack of a defence readiness bill is a significant disadvantage. So can the Minister set out when that will be published and specifically set out a date it will come before the House?
It's so disappointing, Mr. Speaker, that with a question on the Defence Readiness Bill, where he could be saying what measures he wants, all he wants is a timetable, doesn't care what's in it. We care about the content of what is in the Defence Readiness Bill. We will get it right and we'll bring it before this House. And when it does, I hope he supports it.
Drew Stone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Falcon Works, part of the BAE Systems family, and the Enterprise Zone at Wharton have been at the cutting edge of learning the lessons from rapid deployment and redesign of unmanned aircraft in Ukraine. And a key part of that is including that pre-investment in research and development as part of procurement of defence systems. So will the Minister commit to continuing to work with companies like Falcon Works that support huge amounts of jobs in Fylde and across Lancashire?
Can I join him in commending Falcon Works and BAE Systems for their innovation? As a government, we have established UK defence innovation, a £400 million annual budget to support innovation. That is making a difference in bringing more innovation to the market, and also with dual-use potential as well. We'll continue to invest in that, just as we set out that 10% of our equipment budget will be spent on novel technologies, helping drive the latest kit and equipment for our troops.